Who are we? We are the ones who step up for each other. I've got your back. You've got mine. Kindness, humility, empathy. It's not just talk. It's who we are. It's who we always have been. And no one can take that from us. The movement to bring it back, it started here. And here. And here. In school gymnasiums, community centers, the living room down the block. You'll be where? Okay, we'll be there. Who are we? We're the movement that will beat Donald Trump. Welcome. We're going to have to sweat for it. We're going to have to sacrifice and fight. We're going to have to lead. Everyone is going to have to lead with kindness, humility, empathy, and not just talk, but action. Action today, action tomorrow. Action until we win. And we will win if we do this together. It's who we are. It's who we always have been. Now let's show them.
Hey everyone! Welcome to our very first installment of Biden Brunch Live. My name is Courtney Corbiciro, and I am the Digital Organizing Director here on the campaign. It's my job to make sure that everyone, no matter where they are in the country, has the tools that they need to take action for our campaign.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Kurt Bagley. I'm the National Organizing Director. I oversee all of the grassroots activity across the country and very excited to be with you today.
So what are we doing here today? This is going to be our weekly show where we get to talk to all of you guys, our supporters, and give you an update about what we have been up to this week. So you'll get to meet our amazing organizers. We'll have some volunteers on here, and we'll talk about the work that you all are doing that will make a huge difference in November. I'm super excited for you guys to get to meet our team. So right now, things obviously don't look like a typical campaign. Normally, we would have organizers knocking on your doors, and they'd be inviting you to house meetings or office openings or events with the vice president. But we can't do that right now. So we're adapting to the moment. And we are really, really excited to use this show to give you an opportunity to hear about what we are doing and how exactly we are doing that. So today we will give you a rundown about what our team was doing this week and what we have on deck for next week. And you will also meet one of our amazing organizers out in the field who has been on our campaign since Iowa, Sabrina, who is a regional organizing director in the Great Lakes region.
So let's start out by talking to you a little bit about what team organizing has been up to this week. Firstly, results came out in Wisconsin from the election that happened almost a couple of weeks ago there. And we were really thrilled that we won in Wisconsin. Our organizing team was really focused on making sure that we were talking to voters and making sure that they knew the safest and easiest options to vote. Our team made over 1 million phone calls into the state. We made over 350,000 texts into the state, and we overperformed in the 23 Obama-Trump counties. And despite the crazy circumstances and Republicans' attempts to suppress the vote, turnout was up in some key counties, including the WOW counties surrounding Milwaukee. Jill Karofsky won the state's Supreme Court race and was the second challenger to defeat an incumbent on the Wisconsin Supreme Court since 1967. Additionally, our team has been making what we've been calling community calls. The key of this is making sure that we've been extending the vice president's empathy and deepening the relationships that we have with supporters and checking in with them during a time of public health crisis. So we've been calling supporters in states all across the country, not necessarily to make an ask, not asking for money, not asking to do any sort of immediate actions, but just to check in and make sure that they and their families are doing well in the time of public crisis. Now, we've also gotten some endorsements over the course of the last week. Courtney, do you want to talk a little bit about those?
Totally. Thanks, Kurt. So we had a really, really big week. On Monday, we kicked off the week with an endorsement from Senator Bernie Sanders. He and the vice president jumped on a live stream just like this one and talked through the issues that they're going to work on together. So we're pumped to welcome all of the Sanders supporters to our campaign. On Tuesday, we welcomed President Obama to Team Joe. He released a video on YouTube endorsing Vice President Biden. You should all go check it out. And then on Wednesday, Senator Elizabeth Warren endorsed the vice president as well. And she had an awesome video that she released on social media. So please go watch that and retweet and share on Facebook. We had senators and Congress people and big organizations like End Citizens United, Let America Vote, Voto Latino, and local leaders across the country endorsing the vice president too. So very excited to welcome everyone to Team Joe. It was a really big week. This week, we also announced that we are going to put some rules that guide the values of our campaign into writing. So similar to Mayor Pete's rules of the road, we're asking our supporters to submit a campaign rule that they think that we should adopt. We're going to roll them out next week. So submit your idea to joe.link/submit rules. And we will let you all know when our rules are live. Yesterday was a really big day for our campaign too. It marked 200 days out until Election Day. So we're gonna need everyone on board, organizing and helping us win in November. It also was the day of the Wyoming primary. So Wyoming ran an entirely vote by mail election and ballots were due yesterday. We're gonna hear about results tomorrow afternoon on Sunday. So stay tuned for those. Kurt, do you want to talk a little bit more about what's coming up next week?
The Ohio primary is going to be on April 28th. If you've already voted in the Ohio primary, your vote counts. Absentee ballot request deadline is going to be on April 25th, and ballots just need to be postmarked by April 27th or dropped off at your county board of elections on April 28th. So if you're in Ohio, make sure you get your ballot in. If you need to request a ballot, you can do that up until the 25th, and just make sure you vote or send in your ballot by the 27th.
Kurt, do you want to talk to Sabrina now?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's bring Sabrina on.
Amazing. So we're so excited to introduce all of you to Sabrina Buspar. She is a regional organizing director in the Great Lakes region on our campaign, and she's been on the team since Iowa. So Sabrina, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited. So as Courtney mentioned, I'm Sabrina Buspar. I am a regional organizing director for the Great Lakes Pod, but I'll tell you a little bit about myself and what I've been doing with the campaign. So I am originally from Clearwater, Florida. I went to Florida State University and graduated in May of 2019 with a dual degree in international affairs and political science. Following graduation, I knew I wanted to join the presidential campaigns. And so I did some research and came down to Joe Biden and was accepted to go to Iowa to work for Joe Biden, which was super exciting. One of the reasons I really narrowed it down to Joe and chose him to be my candidate was because, you know, his international relations experience just really related to me. Both of my parents are immigrants, and so I have always, you know, seen how important it is that the United States has a great stance internationally. And then also with healthcare and climate change and education, and being from Florida, I just knew we really needed someone who could defeat Donald Trump. And so I was ready to go to Iowa and really just showcase that. So I was sent to Iowa City, which is the second largest Democratic county in the state of Iowa. So something that I did there was, as mentioned, door knocking, phone banking, recruiting volunteers, really getting precinct captains for our caucus locations. So those are people who represent the campaign at their caucus sites, and we really try to make sure it's voters so that they can connect with their community. And after Iowa, I was then sent to Las Vegas, Nevada. So drove 3 days to Las Vegas, Nevada with some of my colleagues, super fun time. And I worked the Strip caucuses there. So the Nevada Democratic Party allows employees at the Strip caucus to go to a caucus location at the Strip, which is just super great because it allows them to be able to go where they work and not have to drive home and come back and take more than an hour from their breaks. And so that was super exciting to work. And actually that day of caucus, I was then sent to South Carolina. So I took a red eye with a whole bunch of my friends, and it was a fun experience. And so we went to Columbia, South Carolina. That was a lot of door knocking. I had a lot of great stories from South Carolina. It was very memorable, and I was just so grateful to be a part of the campaign during that time. And then after South Carolina, I was sent to Miami, Florida, to be a regional organizing director. And so I was super happy to be going back to my home state and to work the primary there. And we had a great group of field organizers. There were 7 of us down there, and we just made so many connections and just had a great time door knocking and phone banking. And it was during that time that everyone was so excited with Super Tuesday and Super Tuesday 2. And so we just had a phenomenal time. But unfortunately, coronavirus did happen, you know, around that time period. And so 3 days before the election, we all as a campaign had to start working from home. So that did change up a lot of the things that we were so used to doing. So now we work from home and we do a lot of virtual organizing. We're starting to transition into doing virtual events. So we're looking forward to next Saturday coming. And so it's been a great time so far. You know, we're all adjusting towards this digital era, I guess you could say, for organizing. But it's been really great. You know, we've done calls to community members, supporters, and just really reaching out to them. We're not, you know, trying to get money or trying to ask them to do much. We're just really checking in on them, seeing how they're doing, as well as if there's anything we can do for them. And, you know, myself and my organizers, we've really enjoyed doing that because it makes us really see what's going on and how, you know, America is going through this together. And it also just shows what our candidate is like, and he is always there to care for the people. And so it's just been really great overall. So yeah, so that's like a little bit about me and what I've done so far. It's been a long ride, but a great one.
We love it. Thank you for all the work that you have done for our campaign, Sabrina. So excited to see everything that you continue to do for our campaign. But I'm putting you both in the hot seat now. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a little fishbowl here with a bunch of questions. I'm going to read them out and have Sabrina and Kurt answer them. So first question, who is your favorite TV president? Kurt, you go.
Ooh, that's a hard one. I think I'd probably have to say Selena Meyer from the show Veep. I just always love that show. I think it's so funny and just a really big fan. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I would have to say Elizabeth McCord from Madam Secretary.
Great show. Amazing. All right, second question. What has been your favorite memory on this campaign?
Also a really good question. There have been so many great memories since starting this campaign about a year ago. I, like Sabrina had mentioned, I went to Iowa for the last little bit of the Iowa caucus and then went from Iowa to Nevada to South Carolina. And, you know, those were 3 of the 4 states that we were super focused on early on in the campaign. And I got to say my favorite moment was the night that we won the South Carolina primary and seeing Vice President Biden come out and address the crowd there. The crowd was totally electric, and we had taken first that day, and we were working our way back to the top of the primary, and it was just such an exciting moment for our campaign, and that would have to be my favorite.
What about you, Sabrina?
Well, Kurt sort of stole it. I would also say Columbia, South Carolina. I was there with Kurt. It was just a phenomenal time. Like he said, seeing Vice President Biden and Representative Clyburn and everything they had to say was just phenomenal. And it was just such a wonderful moment. I think it was one of those moments where we all knew things were going to change for the good.
That's awesome. That was a good night. All right, next question. If you were invited to brunch at the Bidens, what would you bring?
Also a good question. If I were invited to, is this like potluck style?
Sure.
Okay. So I think that I would have to bring, I'd bring the fixings for baked eggs. It's one of my favorite breakfast or brunch dishes. So I would definitely not lose out on the opportunity to make my famous baked eggs for the Bidens.
What about you, Sabrina?
I love that. I would probably bring arepas, which is like a traditional Hispanic kind of pancake, but it's more salty instead. So I would probably bring that because it's like my favorite kind of brunch thing to have.
We have to do this brunch. We have to put it on the books after all of this is over.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. One last question. What is the first campaign you ever worked on?
So the first campaign that I ever worked on was the 2012 re-election for Obama and Vice President Biden. That was also one of my favorite campaigns I've ever worked on. It was such a great time. I was in Boulder, Colorado as a campus organizer, kind of like Sabrina was in Iowa City. And it was just some of the most fun I've ever had in my life. I spent months on campus at University of Boulder registering students to vote and then turning them out to vote for President Obama and Vice President Biden. And what was really cool is that we ended up winning that campaign in that state in Colorado by a field margin. And that's what really got me hooked on doing organizing work. And so it was an unforgettable job and an unforgettable campaign.
So
yeah, and then for me, I interned for Senator Nelson, so I didn't really work for a campaign before this one because I was in college, but I was very involved, interned for Senator Nelson, and then interned for the DNC and did a lot of college organizing with college Democrats.
That's amazing. Thank you for your work, both of you. All right, well, Sabrina, it was so lovely having you. Thank you for joining us. We will talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. It was so awesome having you all here. We are pumped to see you next week. We have to go make some phone calls. See you guys.